It is December 28th, 2020. Matt Morgan bringing some levity to this podcast before we went on the air.
Honestly, Christmas feels like 3 weeks away right now.
Well, for you, none of us working stiffs.
I just mean with everything that's happened since, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, I mean, what's on everyone's mind tonight, I think, casting quite a large shadow over Monday Night Raw, the death of Brodie Lee. That John Huber, Luke Harper, WWE recognizing that tonight in a nice moment at the start of the show, them working his intro with Tom Phillips and with Drew McIntyre in the ring, doing It's Monday, you know what that means. Raj, for the news for the people that don't know this sad and quite unfortunate news, can you just bring people up to speed?
Yeah, so apparently, and this is all that's known right now, is that Brodie Lee had some sort of lung issue. His wife had mentioned that apparently he was hospitalized in October. He started having fatigue while he was using his Peloton and couldn't finish his workout, and then ended up being hospitalized and had been hospitalized since October. And so, yeah, I think it just shocked everyone. I mean, I know I was kind of just assuming he was off TV as they were building an angle for him to come back after that Cody match, and then. You know, when I first saw that, my first instinct was like, oh, man, someone hacked into the AEW account.
Yeah.
Just thinking, like, it can't be real. And, then started, just talking to different people. And, yeah, I mean, to say it's shocking because this is the first time we've had, like, someone who is kind of a top, who was a top guy in a promotion. Pass away while they're still one of the top guys since Chris Benoit or Eddie Guerrero. I mean, it's
and non-drug related, non-steroid related, non-combination of drugs, alcohol, the bad things that a lot of the wrestlers in our generation we grew up watching passed. Right. One thing I just I never shared this with anybody, but last year, I've had the flu. You guys total 5 times my whole life. I never get sick, thank God. But last year, I caught pneumonia, and I was hospitalized for 2 weeks with this son of a gun, and no exaggeration, it almost took my life. And I was healthy as a horse, in some of the best shape I'd ever been in, lowest body fat, great cardio condition. I got it from hugging one of my residents. Hello, she had pneumonia unbeknownst to her, but like out of nowhere, I kicked the crap out of me. So bad that I was wired up in this hospital for 2 weeks, and they're like telling my wife and my mom, like, there's a good chance we might not be able to get him back. And still to this day, I have the scarring on my lungs from it. But it scared the crap out of me about how fragile our lives are. We don't know, I think, what's his name? Nick Aldis, said a good tweet. I like, tell those that you love, those of you in your inner circle, you love them. You can't say it enough to each other. We cannot.
Yeah. No, I agree. So just the outpouring of love and support for Brodie's family, the memories of him. I mean, it has been just a celebration of his life, even despite the tragedy, sorrow, and strong feelings about his passing, the sadness. People have been this warm outpouring and these great memories. I mean, clearly he just seems like he was friends with everyone in the business.
Yeah, it was up and down across all promotions, across the independents, just everywhere.
Because he's one of those that makes a lasting impression in people's real lives. Besides the business itself, but their real lives. But one thing I wanted to say and kind of put like a somewhat happy story on this, if I could, is I worked with him on the Indies. I had just finished with WWE, and I was in between going to New Japan. And I was working with him at an indie company in Pennsylvania, ironically owned by Sam's dad, or Corey Graves' father. And he's like this guy was like 6'6", a little, still skinny at the time, Brodie was. I still yet to fill out his body, you know. And I remember talking on the side about, you know, hey, what does it take for me to get to WWE? What do I got to do? When you watch my match, what can I do differently? And he was another one that grew up as a little boy watching this stuff and was mesmerized by it. And it was his biggest dream to one day wrestle there, you know? So positive end on this is, you know, that he got a chance that not many people get a chance to do and live out that childhood dream. And he's one of those that were incredibly appreciative of it. And what I really respect most about him is that once he got that dream and achieved it, he still put his family first, because being a dad and a husband was far more important. You see what I'm saying? Dreams change as we get older. Goals change, right? And the fact that when he was in the WWE bubble, he was there. It wasn't about him just wanting to move on to get a better opportunity. It was also about what is the best situation for him and his family, so he could continue to be a badass dad, a badass husband, and have the opportunity to do that more. And by going to a different company, he was given that opportunity. So all the kudos in the world to anybody in this business that is willing to put their family in front of the dream, if you will.
Well, and what a year he was having. So glad to see that he got that run and got that opportunity.
Oh my God. He resurrected. He resurrected the friggin' jobber squad. At first is what they were. I'm sorry. I'm their biggest fan now, but at first they were a joke. And he came in and changed them like vegan credibility like that.
No, he's someone that was background in WWE, barely used. I was in the Bludgeon Brothers, which was an interesting gimmick to say the least. Largely forgotten. I mean, we called out on this podcast for, you know, my experience seeing him as a fan. You know, the Soulful Eyes comment that you guys didn't let me live down for the longest time. But I think that when I saw the documentary WWE did on him about 2 years ago, and you saw who he was out of character versus in character, I believe I immediately dubbed him the best actor on the entire roster.
Yeah.
Because such a different guy.
We just interviewed him in September. I mean, just
such a difference.
Yeah. I mean, just a few months ago, it's insane. And that's, you know, again, with your loved ones, you know, take that extra minute to give them an extra hug and an extra kiss, tell them you love them, because you just never know. And this year has shown that you just never know. And, it's tough. And, you know, our condolences, of course, to his wife, his friends, his family, his sons. And,
yeah.
This is just, it's so tragic. And this has been a rough
thing. One other good thing I'll point out is that he meant so much to so many people. This isn't going to be one of those deaths where, okay, people talk about it for a couple of weeks. That's it. This is going to be a scenario, you mark my words, where there's going to be the Sammys and so on and so forth that were his buddies.
Yeah,
that are gonna, in my opinion, are gonna be there for his kids. You watch.
Yeah.
Kranishaw pointing out in the chat, not one negative from any of his peers and fans. A loving father and a friend to anyone in need.
Hell no.
Yeah. Jax Collins saying, don't want to sound selfish or horrible, but John passing hit me like Owen. Such an amazing man, impactful outside of TV.
And then
Bernie DC saying, only had one brief chat with him a couple of years back. Talked Redskins with him being a huge Skins fan as well. Between the tributes and thoughts from his colleagues, definitely one of the real good ones.
And AEW's announced they're doing an appreciation night this Wednesday. I'm sure it will be filled with tributes wall to wall. Well deserved.
If some of you guys that were fans of it, is there a delay on this when I'm talking? I apologize.
Teensy bit, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's barely noticeable.
Hello?
Yeah.
Real quick, to the fans of Brodie, if you get a chance, check out the latest BTE if you could on YouTube. It'll make you smile. It'll make you laugh at least. and they do a good job with it, actually. I'm not saying that to plug BTE, so shut up, haters. Really, really watch it, because it shows what he meant to the others in the Dark Order and how he helped all of them, but at the same time, what you're supposed to be doing with this business to begin with. And that's having fun. And he doesn't. This captures all of that. I'd suggest people check it out if you can.
And that's the craziest thing, Matt, is that, you hit the nail on the head. He came out of WWE being, like a backing guy, right? Like background in the Wyatt family, barely given anything to do, basically main roster enhancement talent. And then to go and lead a faction, like you said, the Dark Order, that was seen largely as irrelevant, somewhat as missed opportunities, a joke, revitalized that.
Yes.
And for him to turn that around and get the run that he's had in AEW, I mean, just what a wonderful year that he had. And I think that to look for a silver lining in all this, to have had the year he had before passing, I'm glad he had that opportunity to reach an even larger audience and show what he was truly capable of.
As a talent, you guys, I can't even begin, and I was only able to do it on a much smaller level with TNA, obviously, but the fulfillment you get when you finally leave a place where you feel like you're being misused and not used enough, whatever, and you get that opportunity to be yourself or be a better version of yourself, guys, that is the best high I could ever explain to y'all. And he got that on a major level. Guys, he demolished Cody Rhodes in minutes, I'll remind y'all. The rocket was on him, was about to be on him. So you're right, he did get a great year in there. Wrestling related was a good call. While being able to be home much more with his family, which is, I still love this part of it.
And let's not forget, he had some great moments in WWE, too. I always point to that match with The Shield and the Wyatt family.
He was Intercontinental Champ.
He was Intercontinental Champ. But that match with The Shield and the Wyatt family,
hell yeah.
It was the first match with like the current, after 2010 stars, where the fans are on their feet before the match began, chanting, "This is awesome." And it was electric for
100%.
that match. And it was,
Yes.
it was amazing.
It
and
was.
I think it's one of the most electric you've seen.
He was also an IC champ.
Yeah,
that's right.
And people forget he's an IC champ.
Yeah. A disgruntled New York Jets fan, Justin Lopez, saying, "This is just tragic, man. He was one of my favorites to watch work. A 6'7" man working like a cruiserweight was just incredible to me. R.I.P. Brodie Lee." So it's still surreal. But yeah, I mean, he was taken way too soon.
Absolutely. I guess we should talk about Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I don't know how to quite translate. I mean, they did open Monday Night Raw with the graphic.
And that was nice. It was nice that they acknowledged it. A lot of people sort of question. I mean, yeah, it was very fitting. It was nice. I enjoyed Xavier wearing the Brodie armband. There were some tributes and shout outs to him throughout the show. I mean, it's crazy. It's hard to think. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that think about a year ago where he was at in WWE, and then think about a year later, the career, the run that he had in AEW. It's really remarkable. And,
and it looks like Matt is having some technical difficulties. We'll get him back on here in a sec.
And Matt, not to hype this up too much, we're going to talk about the number one contenders match that opened the show, Sheamus versus Keith Lee. Matt Morgan told us before the episode that he took notes. He wrote down notes about Keith Lee that he's going to share during his critique and criticism of this match. Matt, you there?
Can you all hear me?
We can hear you. It's your picture's a little jittery, but we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Because for some reason there's like a 10-second delay. I'm asking you guys questions, and it's 5 seconds behind.
Do you want to just call Raj on speakerphone? Raj, you want to?
No. We'll just, if you want to try bouncing off and on one more time just to see if that fixes it. Otherwise, we'll just deal with it.
Okay. So Drew McIntyre cut that opening promo. Talked about, with Sheamus, not trusting him after what happened last week, but then we transitioned.
And real quick, I mean, the first words that Drew spoke, paying tribute to Brodie Lee, saying, it's Monday, you know what that means, which is a famous line that Brodie would always tweet out every day.
Well, did you read the explanation behind that? That somebody finally explained why he chose that, and because he would do that with every day of the week.
Right.
And did you read the explanation why?
No.
It's actually kind of genius, because he said it means something different to everyone when you say the day of the week and you know what that means. So the idea is that there is no one meaning that he has. It's the idea that it becomes like this instant inside joke or inside meaning to the person that reads it that does their own autocomplete on what that is. I thought that was brilliant that he did that, because I will admit that I was always a little like, what's he getting at? What's going on?
Right.
I always
He
wanted
made
to
it
mean
famous.
that meaning. He did.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, it's funny. And seeing when he acted on the USA show, he was in that horror movie that was set during colonial times.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he was such a presence on screen. I just feel he could have done so much beyond wrestling. And then when you watch him talk and you watch his personality and he was a podcaster. I didn't know that until seeing some of the tributes that he was doing wrestling podcasts, even, just as up as a little, in the last 10 years, just such a dynamic personality. I mean, he's going to be so truly missed by this business.
Yeah. Real quick, Jody Shauna Jenkins with the super chat saying, BTE Brodie tribute is amazing. I got to watch that. I haven't had a chance to watch that yet.
No.
Raj, 2 months ago, he said Retribution would be gone. Here we are. They're still here. Thoughts? I mean, they're here. It's like the cruiserweight division, when they're lugging around, but it's not really a thing.
It's true. 205 Live still on the air technically.
Yeah, exactly. Matt, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
All right.
Your video's looking better.
Still a little delay, but all right. If it gets worse again, guys, I'm gonna go inside and figure out how to fix this. But
okay. Keith Lee versus Sheamus. Matt, you had notes. You have notes on Keith Lee.
The basic gist of what the notes that I was like I had that stood out the most to me was, again, his physical appearance and what they're dressing him in. I know it sounds ridiculous, right? But again, here is this monster. He's supposed to be booked as a monster. They put him in a storyline with two guys that are, I told you this before, tall on television equates to big for whatever reason. It creates to big and muscular. I don't know why. It just does, and you saw it when he got in the ring with Sheamus and Drew. If you saw all three of them in person, trust me when I tell you, Keith Lee is a freaking truck. All right, by comparison to them. I'm not saying they look bad. They're both very muscular, the other two, but it doesn't look the way TV makes it look. On television, if you're vascular and lean, it makes you actually look fuller and more muscular and actually thicker, if that makes sense. That's why Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle were able to work magic with their physiques on television. They look much bigger. If some of you fans have met them in person, you're like, wait a minute, that's, wow, I'm way bigger than him. I didn't think, you know what I mean? So again, to put him in a storyline, I get the guys that I get Drew as is the champ, right? Like, we can't be complaining that they put him in the main event, but at the same token, this is the opposite of what I've been preaching and protecting him and building him slowly but surely with kill match after squash match, mid-card squash, semi-main event squash, and so on and so forth until you build to this main event championship match. Another thing, singlet, go back in time and look. Singlets shorten the way the wrestler looks. I'm dead serious. He should not be wearing a singlet. I had no problem the way that he always presented himself on the indies and at first on NXT. He doesn't need to wear a top. Oh, but Matt, he's overweight and it doesn't look. I don't care. It looks good on him for some reason. I don't know why I feel that way, but I feel that way. And he's not somebody who needs to cover up. Because, again, he strikes me as a freaking freight train, like as a truck. And he's powerful. He's not just some guy on the couch, eating crappy food and just getting heavier and heavier. This guy's going in the gym and busting his tail. So there's a difference. And I don't know why they're treating him with what they're making him wear as if they're like covering it up or shaming him or I don't know. I don't like it, though. and it hurts him. And honestly, it makes him appear shorter. It's who's the guy, the bodyguard on the AEW that wears the singlet? Wardlow. Even while it's a different look, I also remember first saying with Wardlow, he should not be needing to wear a singlet because he's jacked. He looks great, and it shortens him. He's a tall guy. You want to elongate a wrestler, you either put him in trunks or you put him in long pants, like Kevin Nash style pants. And it makes the wrestler appear taller. Perception is reality, and wrestling is full of smoke and mirrors. And if Keith Lee's 6'1", 6'2", and you're going to book him as a monster, then you've got to give him those smoke and mirrors that he may need from time to time. A la, don't book him in a match with a guy 6'7" and another guy at 6'4.5", 6'5", and both of them super muscular. It doesn't do Keith any favors to the average fan that doesn't really watch, not the average fan, but the mainstream fan clicking through the channels and stopping. It doesn't help him. I'm happy he got the win. It was a great match. I don't like the way Sheamus punked him to get into it at the end of that promo, but I just broke it, him.
Yeah.
Kind of like, punking him out a little bit. But again, there's something to the aesthetic of how you have to protect a monster. That's the biggest things that kept sticking out to me. I'm like, why do they keep messing up with him?
Yeah, and to the point with the singlet, how many top stars has a singlet worked with? Worked on, like Andre, obviously, but King Kong Bundy. But outside of that, ECW Taz, and that's really all that I can really top of my head that I can remember. But they weren't trying to make Taz appear tall. That wasn't part of his shtick, obviously. But this guy's a monster. Again, he's no reason to be covering up a top. Like, he shouldn't be wearing a top. He doesn't need to. Mm-hmm. My opinion. Samoa Joe doesn't. He don't need to. Yeah. Real quick, Nightmare Knee with the $10 super chat saying, I'm completely devastated. I never realized how much I love Brodie until now. Prayers to his family. I watched his old matches before he was at WWE. I cried every time I watched a tribute. Terry Allen Jr. saying the Shield versus Wyatt family was very memorable. Yeah, I think that match still holds up to this day. It was awesome. Nightmare Knee also saying, with all the losses we've suffered this year, let's be good to each other. Sorry about going off on a tangent.
No.
There was this. I mean, I didn't know if I should bring it up or not, but there were people complaining all over Twitter that WWE didn't give a tribute tonight or didn't air a video. Jenny Hayes pointing it out. People are counter arguing it was taped. It wasn't taped. It was actually live. But we know WWE production is good enough that they could have edited something in. I mean, that is the debate on Twitter. They did put the graphic at the beginning. A few different wrestlers, dropped some Brodie lines in. But
like, is there always a video when a former WWE superstar passes?
No, for Shad, they just did the graphic.
Yeah. But then they did a video for, like, Regis, Yeah. And, I mean, I could see it. I could see it both ways. I mean, the guy was just with the company last year.
Do we think...
I mean...
Can you name another video that they've done somebody passed?
Well, Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson is a legend.
I was going to say both him and Regis have something in common, that they're both very old when they pass. They lived a full life. It wasn't cut. Life was not cut from them early. So I'm just wondering, did they ever make videos I'm unaware of for talent that did pass? This is such a shitty subject that we're even talking about, by the way.
But people know about this. This is, Matt, in the news industry, this has happened before where, like, CNN has obituaries ready to go for everyone over the age of 60 who's notable. And sometimes they accidentally get published, and it's been a news story when they accidentally get published. But no, to your point, I'm sure they don't have this sort of coverage ready to go for anyone that, doesn't have some gray hairs on them. I'm not being cynical. It's just... It's like insurance, right? It's like, why is life insurance so much more expensive the older you get? Because it's more likely something bad's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I'm just trying to think, because they are pretty good about these kind of things. I would think they're a conglomerate, right? They wouldn't purposely
well, obviously
anything
they
with
do.
any malintent here.
Right. And they obviously this is kind of a unique situation where someone's so closely removed to the company
Right.
who wasn't there who's just there again last year. Because obviously
Right.
current talent, they've done it almost every time I can think of, at least with the bigger names like Eddie and Benoit. Nightmare Knee saying
They did video
tribute that's on YouTube.
And Justin
you.
Lopez saying he was hoping for a 10-bell salute, honestly.
Yeah.
Micah Wallace.
And having all the wrestlers out there on this stage potentially as well, actually. You know what? That'd be nice too, but now I'm being probably a jerk about it. Maybe I am. I don't know.
No, but I know it's terrible, right? I mean, it's like every year people
I shouldn't be thinking of.
No,
we shouldn't be thinking about that. We should be thinking about him, his family, and how shitty this is. This fucking even had to happen.
And we've seen so many wrestlers and people in the business talking about donating money. CM Punk donating his T-shirt shirt sale proceeds. People are going above and beyond to reach out to his family and make sure they're taken care of in all this. Michael Wallace Seals $4.99. Rest in peace, Brodie Lee. That's all that needs to be said. But no, man, I think that is part of the coping mechanism. I mean, it's not to get all curb your enthusiasm about it, but I mean, this happened in my family when we've lost somebody. Some people cope by fixating on the nuance, on the little things, because those are the things we can control, feel that we have power over. Whereas it's just too much of an emotional.
That we don't
exactly.
We don't have control over because we lost them. Yeah, I got you. That makes sense. Actually, makes very good sense. The way you just explained that.
Yeah. So no, I think it's a perfectly natural.
You're a very smart guy, Glenn Rubenstein.
I have my moments. Sean Wiley, thank you for the $5 super chat. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I mean, this is what everyone's thinking about, right? I mean, just this has been the main topic on wrestling Twitter, and I think it was more people find out about this, and I'm seeing people in my day-to-day life that don't even follow wrestling that closely that are tweeting about this, that are hit by this, that are emotionally impacted by this. So no, I mean, I think that, I think his presence is greater than even he would have estimated in his impact of how just beloved he was.
Real quick, I was the one thing with when Beast passed, when Shad passed, right? So tragically, the thing that used to give me goosebumps the most was how big and how covered it was and how everybody was talking about it. I know him upside down, inside out. He's like a legit brother of mine. And I know, like, he's watching down, marking out for himself.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about it. And what I think is amazing in this, again, for Brodie's, is that everybody's talking about it on a much bigger level than I think he would have given himself credit for, because he was that damn humble.
Yeah.
So in that way, I guess that's a positive too, right?
Oh, absolutely. So, God, this feels like I can't believe I'm about to say this. So back to the show tonight. Well, after Keith won, and then we had his versus Grand Metalik.
Well, so next week it's going to be Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre for the title. For the title,
yes. Oh, and Elias is backstage with Jackson Riker. Riker enjoying the music Elias played on his guitar while there was knocking on the door. Who could it be? We'll find out soon. But first, the Miz versus Grim. It's just I know. Even in a regular week, we're like, man, Raw is so bad and trivial. But
terrible.
But when there's big things that happen or things that make you think about the fragility of life and the grand scheme of things, then I look at Monday Night Raw and I just want to laugh because I'm like, I can't believe now we're gonna go back to talking about this shit in the midst of it all. Somehow this all matters. Grand Metalik versus The Miz. Edge of my seat here.
Grand
Metalik the finish.
Grand Metalik won.
Yeah, so the storyline is
What?
that Miz is so upset that he lost his Money in the Bank shot that he can't win a match now.
Yeah.
And so Grand Metalik getting the win. The first time Grand Metalik has ever won a singles match on Raw ever.
For good reason.
Black Saw Johnny Hex 499 saying, "Rest in peace, Brodie Lee. Didn't he idolize Bruiser Brody?"
Yeah.
That is not where he got the name from, though. Do you know where the name Brodie Lee comes from, Raj?
I got it from Clerks, Brody.
From Mallrats, more
character.
specifically.
Oh.
The character Brody, played by Jason Lee.
Huh? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that. But how many
Looks
times
just
on this podcast would we talk about how they need to make, when he was Luke Harper in WWE, when we'd say they need to turn him into, Bruiser Brody, just the wild, crazy, get rid of the Luke Harper outfit and, just turn into Bruiser Brody. And that's kind of what they did in AEW, where he was kind of the intelligent brute, and it was working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean Wiley, $5. Brodie Lee being the Elite tribute was awesome, under 15 minutes, but it caught the essence and the charisma of Brodie Lee's character in AEW perfectly. I look forward to watching that.
And you cry and laugh at the same time watching it.
Bear Hudson, $10, saying, "I'm crying writing this, but a person with a long beard paid for my WWE ticket because I could not find my other ticket for my son. That person was Brodie Lee. I'll never forget that."
Wow.
Now for Sue.
Yeah, I mean
Thank you
the
for
number
sharing
of stories.
that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. The number of stories out there on social
is.
media of stuff he's done. I mean, it's just it's heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. Just what a good guy he was, and but it's a lot of those stories bring a smile to your face of people talking about backstage stories and ribs that they used to play. So
and I keep coming back to this, and I feel like this is a recurrent theme because honestly, I mean, before I did this podcast, I never publicly had to talk about death and dying and the passing of people in a community, right? Like we'll experience it privately, but people watch this show to see us talk about these things, report about these things, and discuss them and try and contextualize them. And I will say this, and I think this every time, is that I think the true measure of a lifetime is the memories you leave behind with other people. And I will say that if you want to take inspiration from these passings, is think about, as you live your life, how you can be that warm presence, how you can improve other people's lives, touch other people's lives, and just create that positive energy. Like that is the thing I take more and more when we discuss these past, which feels like it's happening more and more in this year. I mean, especially. But I think if there's something to take away from how we cope with this and the impact we can let it have on our lives, it is how we live our lives and treat other people going forward.
Yeah. God, I mean, just Danny Hodge was just the other day as well. We haven't even, 2020, man.
The year is almost over, but it's symbolic, the changing of a year, but I hope next year is truly better.
It will be.
Better, man. So after Grand Metalik picked up his win, his triumphant win, we saw who was knocking on the door backstage, and it was AJ Styles yelling at Elias for playing his loud music because Omos was trying to listen to Mozart. How did AJ pronounce that? He mangled Mozart in the weirdest way, and I can't remember what it was. I think he was maybe reading it off the cue card. Mozart.
Mozart. I don't know.
Yeah, similar. So of course this led to a match. But before that, we had Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler, with Shayna Baszler getting the win and really working Dana's arm there. That looked very, very vicious.
Mm-hmm.
Very good story, by the way. Very good story. When we talk to the newer fans that do like the high spots and the new athletic style of wrestling of today's generation, and I sound like an old, out of touch former wrestler when I talk about ring psychology is more important to me. This was a great example of well-executed ring psychology and going back to the body part that the heel is supposed to be working. She picked it apart. It was really, really well done on her part. And real quick, shame on WWE for putting AJ Styles in a storyline setup match for later because the person in the locker room next to him played his music too loud. Come on!
That's where the storylines are now.
Good God.
Really quick, some people are pointing out, disgruntled New York Jets fan, noting what you mentioned earlier about the name Brodie Lee coming from the movie Mallrats. He looked like the actor in the film Jason Lee, and Lee's fame was Brodie Lee.
Yes, he did.
It was Brodie.
And these fans don't know because they've never seen him before. They know him as Brodie Lee with his beard on television. None of them know him beforehand. He looks identical to Jason Lee without that beard. Spot on.
When he was younger, absolutely, 100%. And I have to admit, I keep refreshing Kevin Smith's Twitter feed because I want to see if he's gonna talk about this. Because Kevin Smith's worked with AEW, friends with Chris Jericho. I'm sure someone must have told him the story by now.
Oh yeah.
One more thing with the Shayna match, they had Shayna destroy Dana Brooke, and then afterwards she destroyed Mandy Rose all by herself. So I think it's clear they're probably going with her and Asuka next.
Okay, they build her properly.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, because we were pretty tough on Shayna when she got called up, and she bungled a few big opportunities. To be fair to us for really being tough on her, but at the same time, I feel like she's waited. She's waited in the back, and now she's hopefully improved and will be ready for the opportunity when it comes again. Tonight, I thought she looked very ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she comes across as believable, which I think she had a hard time pulling that off earlier this year, but now I think she's getting it.
Ironically, though, because they put her in stupid promo segments, dumb promo segments. That ain't her strength. Her strength is kicking ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean I get it, but I don't know. I think the neck biting thing probably wasn't the strongest introduction for her character, but no, her versus Asuka I think will be fantastic.
Yeah,
who wins though with that?
Oh, Asuka.
That wasn't really. I mean, that was early on. Yeah, Asuka's gonna win. That was early on in her bringing her up. That wasn't like the first. The neck bite was not the first thing they did with her though. The first thing they did with her, I could have sworn, was that terrible promo with Becky Lynch.
I thought she showed up and bit somebody's. Was the neck bite her debut, or was that
she did later on? No, she did.
I don't remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Not too far off though. You're not far off.
Mm-hmm.
Alejandro Villarreal, $5 saying Metalik. I feel would be way better in NXT with the rest of the cruiserweights. He's a good wrestler in Mexico. He was great in CMLL. He's got a good look. The Lucha House Party is what killed it, man. You can't have them come into the ring with pinatas.
Yeah. And we'll get to Ricochet versus Ali later, but I was just thinking, if this match happened at a takeover, it would feel like such a much bigger deal. But taking place on Raw, it's such an afterthought.
Right?
Yeah. Sean Wiley, $10. Brodie Lee was handcuffed by Vince McMahon. I'm glad AEW gave him a format for his creativity and his charisma, personality, and talent shown before he passed. AEW should totally be commended for this.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, didn't he debut the same night? Didn't he debut the same night Matt Hardy did? If I'm remembering that correctly. You
mean when Matt Hardy returned?
When Matt Hardy debuted on AEW, I thought it was the same night when Brodie Lee was revealed as the leader of the Dark Order.
Oh, yeah, I think you are right. Yeah.
Yes.
And that was a tough position because a lot of people assumed it was going to be Matt Hardy that was revealed as the leader.
Well, that episode was in his hometown, and it was supposed to be in front of fans.
That's right.
And that was one of the first shows of the pandemic. It might have been the first show of the pandemic.
No, it's just really remarkable how he was able to make it all work. Leonza Duncan, $5, saying, I'm a huge Wyatt family mark, and Luke was my second favorite member behind Bray, but I think WWE dropped the ball and was the most misused faction in the last 20 years.
They were great for a while. I don't know if misused is the right word. I thought they were pretty strong for a long time. It was stronger than most.
Yes. People forget how long that run was.
Yeah. I think once they all got beat up by The Undertaker and Kane at the Survivor Series, that's kind of when it went downhill. But They were strong for a while before that.
So we saw an extensive recap of Alexa and Randy last week, setting up what we were going to see in the main event tonight. Alexa was in the ring. I was trying to bring out Randy, and Randy was in the funhouse, destroying the place. Kicked Huskus the pig.
Orton is beating up puppets backstage.
Which sounds awesome on paper.
No, it never sounds awesome, written or said to me. Listen. Why do normal human beings get to just randomly show up in the funhouse without being invited or magically brought in by Bray Wyatt himself? You can't come in. When Seth Rollins came in, I was like, oh no, they've killed it. They've killed the funhouse. The one cool thing on this show, thank God it's not fully killed because of that, but stupid stuff like this, it hurts it.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this on Twitter. Like before, the Funhouse seemed like it was like this demented part of Bray Wyatt's mind that we were able to watch. But now it's just random set backstage that anyone can walk up to with puppets.
Apparently, you have to. Oh no! Apparently, you go knock on an all black door, and you say "Mechaleka hi Mecca Heiny Ho," and you poof, you get to get in. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've said my stuff with this Alexa Bliss, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton stuff. To me, it's the worst feud of the year, worst major feud of the year.
Wow.
And I thought tonight just solidified it.
Did you not like last week with her on the swing side? And
no.
Really?
I think it comes across
really
so corny. The acting is just so bad. I don't know. And it's not Alexa's fault. It's the stuff she's given. It just, to me, it's just too corny. I like my wrestling more intense. I like the Roman stuff on SmackDown. That's some of my favorite stuff in wrestling. This Bray stuff, I hate it. Yeah. When they go way too supernatural, I think it's just too silly.
Randy Orton strangled a puppet.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Which is funny because Randy Orton he's in my favorite feud of the year as well with Edge. So he's got like my favorite and the worst.
And he's done some of his best body of work in his career, which is saying a lot lately, in the last couple of years, I'd say. But this is tough.
Yeah.
I mean, writing down that he was beating up puppets backstage. That alone says it. No, don't you get it? No, you don't get it, Raj, Matt, Glenn, you guys don't get it. You don't understand. Huskus the pig, right? That's a play and a hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, kayfabe, brother. I know this stuff because I'm Mr. Wrestling fan and I know what I'm talking about, and you don't. Is a shot at his old character that he played, Husky Harris. So don't you see what he did? Randy killed Husky, the former spirit of Husky Harris, when he did this. Like, no. There is no context in which it doesn't look like Randy Orton, wait for it, killed a puppet on national television.
Okay, but on the other hand, let me put this out there. Okay, remember, if the Fiend is coming back, right? And we're so glad they didn't bring him back tonight. But let me just put this out there. And I love the Firefly Funhouse. I think it's been a creative breath of fresh air.
Yes.
But remember Nightmare on Elm Street 7? Like Wes Craven's New Nightmare? No. Okay, it was like...
too much.
It was a precursor to Scream.
You jumped the shark for me then.
But here was the idea with it, though. The idea was that Freddy Krueger had become too much of a cartoon. So they brought back this more reality-based, demon, real Freddy that was scary, no hokey one-liners, just pure evil. Mm-hmm. I like that idea with Bray that maybe we're getting this wrinkle where we're getting rid of the Funhouse for a bit and the jokey Bray, and now we're going to get a truly evil demonic fiend by taking out the jokier parts of the Funhouse for a while.
Here's the problem.
Okay.
Then what do you get? Do you just have the Fiend out there kicking off Monday Night Raw in the middle of the ring with a long-winded Triple H 15, 17-minute promo they used to do every single week when News with Evolution? What would the context be now without that Funhouse? Is he just hanging out? Like, I hated when
Yeah.
Fiend, like, remember he jumped Miz backstage? You guys remember that? I hated that. I'm like, this guy has magic powers and stuff. He doesn't hide behind doors and sneak up, tiptoe behind people and take them out. He can just, like, electrocute people, set them on fire, have a tornado come into the building and take them away. He has magic powers. I want to see more magic powers.
Well, they could do, but I'm saying this is ripe for reinvention. I think if Bray keeps reinventing himself, it's going to be good. Repetition is what makes Monday Night Raw boring. So anything that's new is good.
What's not fair, guys, I know we got to move on, and I apologize for this side of the bar, but listen, it's not his fault. That's what pisses me off the most about this, is this was such a great gimmick, such an way outside the box creation. Kudos to him for coming up with it and it working. And WWE screwed it up, ruins it on him, and now we're talking what? A year and a half later? I don't even know how long it's been. About how it's stale and he needs a new thing to liven it up. That's bullshit, and that's not his fault.
Mm-hmm. Leon's Duncan, $2, saying that Randy Brain Alexa is the only reason he still watches Raw.
Wow. All right.
I liked the stuff with them tonight. We'll talk more about that.
But first, I'm sticking with it. I'm mad about the puppets, but I'm sticking with the storyline. Yeah.
Okay.
AJ Styles versus Elias. Speaking of puppets, AJ Styles with Omos. AJ Styles looks like a ventriloquist dummy that Omos can just sit on his lap and do comedy with.
Oh, the greatest wrestler on the planet. AJ, don't listen to that. That wasn't.
Yeah, but that's why you don't pair him with a legitimate giant. It doesn't look. This isn't like Shawn and Diesel. Like this, really, he looks like a wee little man.
But we already know that AJ isn't really, like, and it just makes Omos that much bigger. And I feel like it just gives AJ something new. It just refreshes him a little bit.
Okay. Well, AJ won tonight against Elias.
Shocker.
It was a good match.
Elias,
I thought it was one of the better Elias matches I've seen.
He is good. And guys, for the record, I challenge the fans. You find me a bad AJ Styles match. Like sincerely, a bad, where you're like, oh my God, this is terrible. I don't think there's one. Like, I probably came the closest to proving that theory wrong when I had to wrestle him. But he makes everybody look great. He's so damn good in there. And Elias, also, you guys, the other dance partner has to do their part too. And I thought Elias stepped up tonight. Mm-hmm. Thought he looked really good. And yes, he's in the ring with AJ. AJ can wrestle a broomstick and make it look good. To a point, Elias did some things in that match tonight. His timing and his in-between the move stuff was much better tonight. I felt more of his character tonight. He's good, man. I just hate the fact that he's doing the Jeff Jarrett crap. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Real quick, New York City Demon Diva saying that was one of Elias's best matches yet.
Right?
Wolf Bane's just a puppet hater.
We should really start titling these episodes. And I think this next episode should be Raj is a puppet hater.
Jax Collins saying, much love to you guys. Just wanted to show support. Got a beautiful little girl to put to bed. Good night. Tomorrow's a new day. You know what that means.
Night, Jackson.
Well put.
And really quick, I just want to point out Jackson's such a sweetheart. He's such a good fan, a good friend of the show. He sent the cutest video of his daughter saying Merry Christmas to my little boy, and I want to thank him again because
nice.
Jackson, you are a blessed father, my friend. Very, very good job on being an amazing dad. Yeah.
No, absolutely, man. Awesome. Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali, as Raj pointed out, a match that would have tore it up a takeover tonight was instead all about Ricochet. Is he going to join Retribution? Mustafa Ali out there with Slapjack, T-Bar, Mason, Reckoning. Every time I say those words, a little piece of me dies inside. This was a good match.
Yeah, again, if this was happening at a takeover, it just would have been so much better. Just in this context, as a Retribution angle, it's just hard to get into.
No, no offense, anything concerning except what? We'll give 2 of the Retribution members outs because they're incredibly talented and they shouldn't be in this. Who are we going to give the outs to? Ali and who else?
Wait, what do you mean by give the outs?
She's a female. Hint, she's a female.
Oh, Mia Yim.
But not Dijakovic as well.
Oh, good call. Actually, yes, he's very talented. He did very good call. My bad. All right. My point is this. I don't even think on NXT this would have been anything with this group is salvageable. I don't think you could book this stupid invasion angle, whatever you want to call it, this takeover, hostile takeover that wasn't very hostile anymore.
It's really toned it down.
Hall in front of 25 fans.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It is so rotten, and I do feel bad. I keep forgetting about Dominic. You're right. I feel bad that he's a part of this too.
Yeah. Peter Bahi with Super Chat asking, any chance Eric Rowan appears on Wednesday's Dynamite? I don't think they'd want to make it gimmicky, you know? I think they want to, pay.
No.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I mean, they could have him in the crowd, but. Mick Orobsky is asking what our favorite guys' AJ match has been since he's been in WWE. His might be Brock's at Survivor Series or against Dean in the TLC match.
Cena that year at the Royal Rumble.
Cena at the Rumble.
It was a very. I'm gonna pick Cena at the Rumble as well as my number one. Those are 2 very good picks, though. By the way, he had some great matches with Seth too. God, there's some. Honestly, there really is
great
a lot,
ones with Roman
but
too.
The one with Cena really stood out because, yeah, that's right. But like he made Cena look like Cena had more moves. Remember?
Yeah. I was there. Oh, okay. No, I mean, he's had great matches. I was there live when he did that match against it was with Ellsworth, but it was really Dean Ambrose doing all the distractions and things like that. And just to see AJ be able to like have a straightforward match, what was entirely a comedy match, was just remarkable to see him be able to pull that off and still wrestle it like a straight match. There we go. Matt's back. So let's see. Mustafa Ali won that match. Oh, and then asked Ricochet, has he made his mind? Is he going to join Retribution? And Ricochet said he will not join the group. I hated when they did that pause.
Yeah.
So Ricochet has lost to every member of Retribution now, right? Except for Mia Yim. And now he's losing twice. Like Ali had already beaten him, a few weeks ago, and this is doing him This is doing none of these guys any favors.
Yeah.
Nope. It's not.
Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax tonight. Pay-per-view worthy match. These two really went at it, and we did not get a win because Shayna Baszler came out of nowhere and did the Kirifuda clutch. Well, Flair had her own submission going, so the ref called the match. And then Asuka hit the ring to attack Shayna. This was a really good match.
This was a great save. You do not beat your monster just yet, right? But at the same time, this is a great. I'm fine. Sometimes people get pissy about, there's no finish in the match. Well, sometimes there's good reason for it.
Right.
I want people being protected that I emotionally invest in and I see becoming huge stars, like Keith Lee, for example. So I'm okay with this. I like the finish, actually, believe it or not. It was a DQ, whatever the hell it was. But this was great to get this on Monday Night Raw. Like you said, pay-per-view quality match.
Mm-hmm. And obviously it's going to be Flair and Nia Jax for a little bit, and Asuka and Shayna Baszler. So you don't want either of them to lose right now. Or any of them to lose. So. But WWE needs to get out of this habit of just because 2 teams are feuding or 2 guys are feuding that they wrestle every week against each other.
Yeah.
Like they're doing with the New Day and the Hurt Business. This is like 8 weeks in a row that they've been involved in the same match, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. But this is really good. Charlotte looked really good. Nia looked good. Highly recommend watching this match. This was well done. Angel Garza backstage with Charlie Caruso. Oh, which legend is Angel going to romance next week on Legends Night on Monday Night Raw? Tune in to find out.
It's really smart that they continue to put like Charlie Caruso with him. He has really good chemistry with her. If you ever watch like, what is it, the Backstage? What's that show called on the network?
Raw Talk?
Yeah. They've been doing this for him and her for like at least 6 months, 7 months. And he's got very good chemistry. And she does with him, ironically. Like, they're very good together. He's very good playing off of what she serves him. If you guys noticed. But I think he's ultra talented.
She could be a star too, if they
right?
wanted. If they,
I thought I was going too far to say that, but I wanted to say that for the record. I really did.
Yeah, she could. I mean, she could be.
Thought I was going to get clowned for it.
Right? No, I mean she's got charisma. She's got a great look. So
yes,
if they wanted to go farther with that storyline, I think they could do some cool stuff.
Like,
but that's the challenge.
Watch how confident. Watch how confident she is holding her own against Paul Heyman. Heyman.
Yeah,
she's good, man.
Yeah.
But the challenge with it is can
you wrestle? Right.
Yeah, who's he going to wrestle? What's the storyline with this? And when they had the whole thing with what's her face from The Bachelorette, I mean, I don't know.
Do you remember that?
Oh man,
I remember that. That was like 6 months. Monday Night
random 3 weeks there.
It's longer than that, dude. It was like 3 months. It was very long.
It felt like 3 months, but really, I think it was only like a month. Jim Barcelone is saying Ricochet is excellent, but this is just not a good fit, and that happens. It's a two-way street. He tried. The company tried. Will he be Daniel Bryan or Kofi? I'd rather see him with NXT, AEW, or ROH.
I remember thinking similar with, ironically, DB. When Daniel Bryan got fired, remember, for the NXT Invasion angle for choking Justin Roberts with the tie?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember in my head going, he's going to blow up even bigger on the indie scene and ROH. He'll play it into his storyline somehow. He's creative. He'll be a bigger star. But then he went back to the machine. And I was like, oh, boy. And then look what he did with it. So my point is we don't really always know how this is going to turn out. We don't. He is a movie star. He looks like a movie star. He being Ricochet, obviously. He does deserve better than this. There's lots of talents in that roster that deserve better than what they got, or what they currently have with their storylines and characters. But I hope he's able to. I think we all are hopeful he'll be able to pull through this and be where he needs to be. Which I'm sorry, he is an upper echelon card wrestler. He is a semi-main event talent. In my opinion.
Yeah,
and I know.
Yeah.
You think he's got to get better on the mic? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But he will get better on the mic when he gets the opportunities to be in those bigger storylines. When you hit that first promo and you nail it, then your confidence grows from there. There's a reason why John Cena's always been a good promo. But if you ever notice, even Roman had so many opportunities of being in the main event storylines and being thrown out to the wolves in main event situations. John Cena gutted him once, if you remember. Right. You get better from that, and you get more confidence from that. And you got to get the main event, semi-main event repetitions of holding a big storyline like that on your shoulders. You have to verbally bring people into the house to watch it. Pre-COVID, obviously. He needs that opportunity.
And he's been the promos he has done the past few weeks have been a big improvement from where he was before. So.
Yeah.
But I think the timing is off, though, and the stars aligning. When he was at his peak in NXT and came to the main roster, and think about how unique and dynamic and fresh those moves were, how commentary put him over. I feel like they should have put time out and been like, we're taking you off the road and we're going to sit you down for like 3 weeks with an acting coach or like somebody just to get you there. Because when he came in, he was so on fire and those promos really hurt him. I don't know that he can get that specialness back. They
did. That's a good point, Glenn. They didn't do him favors, but they also really didn't do him favors with 50-50 booking right off the bat either. Yeah. That I still feel hurt him the most.
Yeah. Disco Scotty $5 saying, imagine if WWE had mishandled Taker the same way they've treated Bray. Should be the spiritual successor to Taker's supernatural character. Undertaker, did he ever work with puppets, Raj?
I was trying to think. What's this? Because Taker did some silly stuff in the past too.
Yeah. Like guys, he was building caskets to put people in.
Remember that episode of Raw where he was going to embalm Steve Austin?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah. So they've done some bad stuff, but they didn't do it on the frequency and as often as they do with Bray.
Weren't they going to kill Stephanie McMahon on live television on a cross?
Yes. Well, I think they just put her up, right? Oh yeah, were they going to kill her?
That was the unveiling of Vince, I thought, as the bigger power, what power to be. Whatever it was called.
It was during that time, yeah.
I'm probably screwing that up, but
yeah, the higher power.
What can we say tonight about the New Day backstage with Matt Riddle and Jeff Hardy?
I love me some New Day. I like.
Sure.
I like them a lot. They're super charismatic. They're very talented.
But Jeff Hardy
as well.
I'm sick of this group altogether. This group together is as a group, they bring each other all down, big time.
I forget last week. I didn't get to watch last week's yet. Did they do the same type of match? Because I know the week before that it was 3 of them. It was like Matt Riddle and New Day against the Hurt Business.
Matt Riddle was on the outside of the apron like cheerleading, like he was like their manager out there. It was terrible.
Okay.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So they filed a trademark for Hardy Bros. So that's happening.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I've said everything I have, not about Riddle himself, but about this character that they're doing on Raw.
Yep. Tune into any other podcast, folks, to hear our thoughts on this.
And so this match happened. The Hurt Business got the win, and they looked hella dominant. Really good.
As well as they should. Good. I like that part.
This is the same finish they've been doing every week, though, where Lashley gets Hardy in the full Nelson and the Hardy taps, which it's good for Lashley, but if they're going with Riddle and Lashley, they need to have Riddle get some wins too. And so it looks believable that he can be a threat to Lashley. And I'm not saying they have him beat Lashley, but they can have him beat Cedric or Shelton.
Okay. Bobby Lashley's. Maybe the ship has sailed. I don't know. I hope it hasn't. I still think he could be a heavyweight champion of that company.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
We shall see.
Real quick, Bernie DC, on what we were talking about a minute ago, they were going to have her marry The Undertaker on the symbol. Not the cross. It was a symbol.
Yes,
they were
awesome.
really important to point that out. Having Austin Saber and Vince thank him only to reveal himself as the higher power. It was me, Austin. It was me all along. That was like one of the more memorable Vince-isms during that time.
Yes.
Lashley declared for the Rumble.
Yeah. Did the whole Hurt Business declare or just...
No, just Lashley.
And then Nia and Shayna declared for the Raw. I mean, they're going to be in the Women's Rumble.
Yeah.
Gonna happen. Although it might be Shayna versus Asuka at the Rumble. That could happen. So Nia's in the Rumble.
I forget which one.
Who knows?
What was the next
but it's a post-Christmas miracle. The Miz was given back his Money in the Bank briefcase.
Did this make any sense?
I mean...
I'm waiting for you guys to explain it to me.
Because Morrison cashed it in, the Miz didn't. Adam Pearce was like, here you go, Mulligan.
I gotta watch that again. I could have sworn like Miz was agreeing to it. Like, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean...
I do like Miz having the briefcase, though, for what it's worth. I do. I still think he's done great work with some crap sandwiches they've served him.
Sure.
And I'd like to see him get another chance one day. I know I'm crazy, but I'd like to see him get a championship opportunity one more time. Another run. One opportunity, at least. Maybe a short-term one, again.
So I wonder if this means he got it if now he counts as a 3-time Money in the Bank winner, because that would be a record. Or if this is just
they can't do it that way.
Yeah,
they can't do it that way.
Maybe he'll cash in next week during Drew versus Keith Lee. First Raw of the year. Started off hot on Legends Night.
This seems like one of those things where afterwards they're like, we can still do some cool stuff with it. So let's undo that decision.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this final segment tonight. Alexa Bliss calls Randy Orton to the ring. Alexa has a gift. It is a gas can and matches. She puts gasoline all over herself. Dares Randy to set her on fire. Randy's not going to do it. Wants to do it. Doesn't want to do it because she wants him to do it. And then we end with the cliffhanger where it seemed, first we had some of the lights in the screen go out. Is the Fiend going to show up? No, he doesn't. But then Randy lights the match. Looks like he's going to do it. Maybe he's going to do it. And we go off the air to immediately a special preview of the new season of Chris Lee Knows Best. So take that. Happy New Year, WWE Universe. Tune in next week to see what happens.
Okay. Glenn, we just said we liked the storyline. So tell me what you liked about this part.
Okay, so this was some really real shit. Alexa wasn't acting like she was in a wrestling storyline. This was very dramatic. It was like this idea that this was a little too heavy, too real. I was actually a little upset by the imagery of her. I know it was obviously water, not gas, but still. And I was thinking
it made you do something because I agree with that. Me too.
Yeah, and I was they're really showing this. I understand why this had to go last, but still, even at 8:00 Pacific time, kids probably shouldn't be watching this. Right. This was some disturbing shit to go off the air with. And her emotion, this was not hokey play acting. I believed it. There was a little too much realness in there for me, and it made me uncomfortable. But in a good way that made me want to see what was going to happen next.
Raj,
I find this stuff it's just too hokey, and if someone's about to burn them, asking to be killed, and Randy Orton has a lighter, wouldn't people be coming from the back to stop this?
Not the Lax Company. They got really
murder
HR regulations.
Same thing as with Bray. He's gonna burn him on fire. Wouldn't officials be coming down to? Of
course they would.
It's too hokey. It's just too cheesy, and I thought the acting was
I did think the acting was good. But really quick, guys, one of the things that everyone kept saying is and to be fair, they're right to criticize this during when Randy set Bray Wyatt on fire, right? And they're like, how come a lot of the critique was, how come there's nobody from the back coming in? I go, who would come? Bray Wyatt is a monster. He's a ghost, wizard, magician, whatever the hell you're going to call him, right? He doesn't have friends.
It's true. No one was standing up to the Freddy Krueger mob going, guys, think about this.
Nobody would come out there, storyline wise, to save him. Now, the next thing is, okay, but they would to stop a fellow wrestler from setting a thing, a person, a whatever on fire in general, you would think. At least people working in the building, right? Somebody that works in that arena, security guards in there somewhere, I'm sure. Somebody. Especially tonight, I would make the argument because it's Lex, right? She's in there now. There is a female in there she's dousing herself with gasoline. The imagery on that's pretty severe. I agree. This, because she's not a monster, but she's morphed into one, I'm guessing, storyline wise, right? Do we think she's a monster, but not really, right? Kind of, sort of, right? Yeah. So because she's been there as herself for so many years, people definitely should have come out there tonight, in my opinion, to stop this or attempt to stop this or whatever.
Yeah, and again, the overdoing the supernatural stuff. Again, when I'm talking to my friends about it,
mark for it. I'm embarrassed in a way when I say this, but I do mark out for the supernatural shit that he can do sometimes. Sorry.
No, I mean, again, to each their own. Wrestling, there's a lot of different stuff on the show. Not everything has to be everyone's cup of tea. And, like me telling my friends when friends were like, "Hey, what happened on wrestling tonight?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, Stone Cold came out in a beer truck and hosed down the McMahon family, and then he kicked their ass." And then, tonight it's like, well, earlier in the night, Randy Orton was in this magical area beating up puppets. And then later, this girl was dousing herself in gasoline. And then it's just, it's just whatever is your cup of tea, I guess.
They should have had like Ramblin' Rabbit come out like Tally in South Park and be like, hey, fire's bad. And then he ended up setting Ramblin' Rabbit on fire. I don't know. They could have been going a lot of comedic directions.
The one thing I did like, though, about this is that it was a cliffhanger. And I feel like they need to do more of those. Like keeping you wanting to tune in for next week. I felt like they missed an opportunity on SmackDown because they had that big NFL lead-in. SmackDown did their biggest number of the year by not having that kind of a cliffhanger, like after the Roman match or something.
Sorry, get to that really quick and come back to me. Leon's Duncan.
Leon's Duncan saying they'll say Bray Orton is the most divisive story.
Raj will say Bray Orton the most divisive. Why is that divisive?
Is people love it or hate it.
Yeah.
Like it's
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. We should have talked about this even before we got to Raw. What about that SmackDown getting such a damn humongous rating like that? I thought that was going to be a shit rating because of the holidays.
Yeah, so the NFL had a game on right before it on Fox. So it started off with 4 million viewers because of that lead-in, and then it dropped, 37% for the second hour. So, and then by the second hour, it was pretty much doing its normal number. So if the NFL hadn't aired, Christmas is a terrible night for WWE. But since the NFL, they had the NFL lead-in, they were smart by starting the show off with the hot steel cage match. And, putting their top star right after.
I said that on our recap. I said, Glenjamin over here, did not like how they started.
It was a long match. There were 4 matches, each a half an hour long on Friday.
All true. But I said, if you're coming over from a mainstream game and you see a steel cage on your television set, you're going to give it 30 seconds. You're going to watch it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you have 4 long matches, the way to get casual fans is with hot angles and hot promos and entertainment and not just long matches because they don't watch, wrestling. They don't care about that yet.
So they served a 4-course meal. I say they should have served a buffet and let people sample at their leisure.
Well, leisure. Why are you saying it that way? Don't say it that way. Say it the right way.
At their leisure.
Thank you.
Blacksaw Johnny Hex 499. The USA Network want more dark adult themes. Isn't that what they said? Well, they got it tonight.
Wait, what? Is he right?
Yeah. There was one report that said that. I know Meltzer said that's not true. So who knows? But they are not happy with the Raw ratings, and they did their record low. Just was it last week?
Jeez.
Yeah, last week or no, 2 weeks ago.
Can I ask a question really quick? What does SmackDown lead-in shows usually draw to go into SmackDown? Like, what's the show beforehand? Generally?
I think it varies because there's not a set show because it's prime time on a network.
Yeah, it's like reruns of Seinfeld or Modern Family.
Yeah, exactly. It's different in different markets. It might be the local news. So this was the first time that they've had the NFL as a lead-in, and I don't think they're going to have it again for. I think that's it for this season or this year.
Go
on. Yeah, tonight. I mean, look. Traditionally, tonight's a low-rated show, right, Raj?
I think it's probably going to be a little bit higher because of the just the wrestling industry.
We congregate. We congregate when tragic events happen.
Yeah. But usually, next week is supposed to, because tonight is the last Monday Night Football of the season. So, next week is when they usually get their big bounce back. This year, they didn't have the big drop that they usually have due to football. So I'm sure they'll still get a bounce back, especially since they're doing Legends Night. They're loading the show up. So it's a smart move. So yeah, that's it. This is always usually kind of the last episode where they're not doing too much, and then they try to do a lot the next few episodes.
Keith Robinson, $5, saying Raw Talk came on right after, and I will just say it made the cliffhanger pointless since the ring looked just fine behind them.
Well, you can't overthink it.
True. Different continuity.
Yeah.
So Legends Night next week.
Nobody cares.
Yes. Well, Big Show's coming back, Matt.
No, especially if there is ever a nobody cares, now's the time to hit the button. Nobody cares.
But the last time they did bring Hogan and Flair back, they did one of the best quarters that they had done in a while at that point. So Hogan and Flair, I think, will make a difference. But, you know, these things work for 1 week. Now, are they going to shoot a big angle to keep any new fans that are watching to stay? Because they keep missing out on that opportunity.
No.
Yeah, they probably won't. But yeah, I mean, they should get a good rating next week.
Yep. I think that's it, folks. Anything else, Rush?
No, that's it. You know, Wednesday, I'm trying to see if there's a public something public where we can donate for Brodie Lee's family, his wife and his kids. So I'm looking into that. And would like, you know, if we can get that, we'll do Wednesday night show and you know, have all the super chats go to his family.
No, that'd be awesome.
Cool.
He is at BP Matt Morgan. He's at Raj Giri _303. I'm at Glenn Rubenstein. Come back Wednesday night covering AEW Dynamite, Brodie Lee Appreciation Night, and NXT, the last NXT of the year. And Matt and I will be back on Friday. Until then, take care, everyone. We'll catch you back here on the Wrestling Anchor.